Tiny Ghost. This new house is too much for Tiny. It's a good house for haunting. It even has people to scare. But nobody's scared of Tiny Ghost. They don't even see the little ghost creeping around this big house. No one will notice if Tiny leaves to look for a better house. Here's a smaller house for Tiny to haunt. This one is damp and dark and a bit smelly. Yes, this house could be right for me, he says to himself. Now let's see if this dog's a scaredy cat. But the dog is not afraid of Tiny. It's too sleepy to be scared. Oh, this doghouse is not quite right for me, Tiny mutters. Maybe I need a spooky place that's small, Tiny thinks. Well, I'm big and scary to a teeny tiny bug. Tiny tries his best to scare the bees in a hive. He roars out a bigger boo. But they're not afraid of anything. And Tiny's very afraid of them. Oh, this little house is not quite right for me, says Tiny Ghost. Tiny wanders around all day with no place to call his own haunted home. Then he spots his dream house. The house isn't cold and damp, but it's tiny like Tiny. That could be a house just right for me, he says. Tiny moves into his new house. He dusts all night in the attic. Tiny tries to make everything about his new house really spooky. This house needs a lot of work, Tiny huffs, and maybe a few people to scare. The dolls in this house are not afraid of Tiny Ghost. They're always happy, even in the spookiest outfits. The next day, Tiny hears some voices near his new house. He creeps over and pops out of the dusty window. The children at the toy store do not expect to see a ghost. They're very surprised. And so is Tiny Ghost. They're afraid. He howls. Yes, this must be the right haunted home for me.